AITH for not accepting Mill into our lives after she ignored our first 2 kids, his stepkids, and now that we have 2 more his bio, she wants to be included. My husband and I have been together for 20 years. When we met, I was going through a separation divorce. We met at work, and he was a co-worker for almost a whole year before I started talking to him romantically. Our relationship moved fast due to the fact that he was getting out of a relationship as well and really had no place to live. He was from Boston and we're in Texas. I agreed to let him move in. I had 2 Barbies from my previous marriage. My son was 3 years old and my daughter was 3 months at the time. Our relationship bloomed and he accepted my kids as his own. We were married 4 years later. My kids' father was never in the picture and did not have a relationship with them. They grew up knowing only him as their dad. My Mill from the start did not like our relationship, and every phone call was trying to bribe him into breaking up with me and trying to convince him he didn't need to raise my kids. We had a lot of ups and downs due to her input and negativity. Throughout the years, she blamed me for our infertility issues. We were trying to have just 1 more to complete the family. She would try to convince him I was hiding being on birth control. Also during this time, my kids wanted a grandmother. They would send her drawings and cards but never received any kind of love from her. Never any birthday or Christmas cards or phone calls. Any normal grandma love. They just accepted that she didn't want to be their grandma. One time she was planning on visiting but wanted to be sure that she didn't have to spend any time with us, me and the kids. My husband, of course, didn't want her to visit after that conversation. One time we dealt with her calling my husband to let him know she started talking to one of his ex-girlfriends and was talking to her on a daily basis, trying to get him to leave me, in her own weird way. That was the last time he talked to her. We just couldn't keep her negativity in our lives. We'll skip to 2019 and guess what, after being together for 14 years at this point we got pregnant. Was so out of the blue we stopped trying a long time ago. It just happened, then happened again in 2021. So we are in our 40s with 2 toddlers. Couldn't be more blessed. My 2 oldest are in college at this point in life. We are just living the dream we've always wanted. Well, now Mill is starting to call and wants to be involved. I don't know how to feel about this. I don't have any good feelings. My oldest daughter and 4-yo have birthdays only 2 weeks apart. And she only sends and calls for only her grandkids and still ignores the older 2. They are adults now, so they act like it doesn't affect them. But as a mother I know it does. She ignored their high school graduations but sent money for the Barbies. Just little stuff like this. I know it sounds petty, but I feel like if she can't accept our family, everyone in our family, then I have no obligation to talk to her. I let my husband do all the communication. But just wondering, AITH for acting this way. Should I start communicating with her? Update: thanks for all the replies and great advice. To answer a few questions, how did Mill find out about pregnancies? My husband contacted her to tell her the great news. We were no contact with her for about 8 years prior to the news. He made the decision to cut her out of our lives after she pulled the ex-girlfriend situation. At first he just told me he wanted nothing to do with her, then a few weeks later told me what happened. So I am extremely lucky that I have a husband that stands up for his family even against his own mother. I never forced the no contact even after all the heck she put us through. But now my husband maybe thought she would have changed after all these years and is giving her a chance. She lives in Boston, we live in Texas. She has not met the younger 2. Well, she has never met the older 2 as well. Everything for now is over the phone and she sends stuff in the mail. I will maybe talk to him and tell him I still don't feel like she is a good influence because she is still acting like our 2 older kids don't exist. So in a way we already gave her a chance and she failed miserably again. I have not personally talked to her after he made contact with her, and she has never apologized for any of her behavior in the past. He has never asked me to speak with her, as he knows how I feel about her. I think my husband needs to make the decision on how he handles this, and I think the way it's just him communicating he thinks is fine at the moment, but we really need to talk about how this will impact the whole family down the line, and if we should let this relationship grow between her and the grandkids, which I think I will just let him read this post. Thanks Reddit, and I want to thank everyone for the different perspectives, especially coming from the stepkids' point of view. Update 2, to clarify a few things, people are wondering why I was single with 2 Barbies. I got out of a domestic violence situation. During my whole pregnancy with my 3-month-old, I was in no contact with the ex-husband. In fact, my current husband was my co-worker during the pregnancy, and even though we weren't together, we worked together and got to know each other. His relationship ended because he found out his partner just wanted to get married right away to gain citizenship, and he felt used. I'll admit our relationship didn't have a normal start, and I came with baggage. I can see why the mill was not accepting of us. Some say I was too quick to move him in, but at that point we knew each other for about a year. I just had a feeling about him being my soulmate. Sometimes you just know. And here we are 20 years later still going strong. But as time went on, her behavior became more and more toxic towards our family. I can see how some people are saying she didn't have to accept my kids, but she could have just treated us a little better.